Welcome back. All right. So I watched The Flash today. You can see the notes on the board. This is something I've tried to explain to people who might be newer subscribers on whatever channel. Is that I tend to take notes. I'm a note taker. I've been this way with everything except in school. Oddly enough, I took very few notes when I was in high school, and I used to get told, "Well, you didn't take enough notes." I'm like, I took down whatever they said that I didn't understand. The rest of it was just kind of, yeah, I know that. So there's 5 episodes left by my count. There's like 13 episode season. I'm pretty sure. I'm this episode is just kind of a perfect encapsulation of the frustration. And again, there's only 5 episodes left, so I'll get through it. But yeah, this episode starts in 2123, and I thought, okay, so that's 100 years from now. Why? And the reason is, who cares? So a Jedi can't get into the weapons vault, and I'm saying that because if you watch the start of the episode, it looks like somebody in a Jedi's cloak. And then at the end, when they reveal who the villain is, there's absolutely no reason for this person to be dressed in a Jedi's cloak. There's none. No reason other than to hide their identity, so we have to guess who the villain is. But yeah, the whole Jedi's cloak, it's there. Just missing the lightsaber. It's a shame. So they set off the alarm because they're dumb and didn't realize that a weapons vault would have an alarm on it, because why would it? So, and then they show an inspection certificate from April 5th of 2023. What a wonderful coincidence, exactly 100 years ago. Anyways, so, the inspection certificate's there, meaning this person is now coming back to 2023 to mess things up, but only in a very small area, which is weird, because we'll discuss it. So, Iris is pregnant. Now, I've already got ahead of the story on this. So, weeks back, Keown looks at Iris and goes, "You're pregnant." And Iris is like, "I can't be pregnant. I'm not supposed to be pregnant for the next 3 months." Like, well, you're pregnant. And it turns out that that's her pregnancy test, because she's pregnant. So, Keown knows when people are pregnant and when they're sad and when they're happy. And she's like the queen of empathy, but they're really slowly dragging this out. But yeah, so it can't be Nora. This is how biology works. So if you're pregnant 3 months earlier than you were supposed to be, that baby is not the same one you would have had 3 months later, because that's not how eggs work. It's not like, and maybe the writers don't know this, an egg doesn't wait for fertilization and stay as the same for months on it. That's just, no, that's not how it works. So it's not Nora. And they keep, oh, it's Nora, it's Nora, oh, Nora. It's gonna be Nora. And it's like, it's not. Obviously, she's having a boy because she's craving cheese fries all the time. And they really played up that Nora's favorite is cookie dough ice cream. And so, since she's not craving cookie dough ice cream, she's craving cheese fries. It's a boy. I just, you can see, like, already I'm ahead of the show. And it's part of the frustration with this is I'm ahead of the show. So when I hear I'm not supposed to be pregnant yet, my first thought being then it's not going to be Nora. And nobody else on the show has figured this out. They're like, oh, it's going to be Nora. She's great. She's pregnant with Nora. She can't be. She actually can't be. And this means now Nora does not exist. So Nora would have been conceived 3 months down the road, but she's not. So, which means also that Barry and Iris, who were worried about their future all being plotted out for them, were clearly unaware that you can still get pregnant even if the future tells you you're not going to, because there's various timelines, and you guys have watched Marvel and DC. So, and if you haven't, well, that's kind of how that goes. Anyways, then Keown is meeting Caitlyn's mother, and I thought, well, this could be a nice scene. It might have been. Could have been. Turns out it's just to get Danielle Panabaker off the set for the rest of the episode. She does nothing else in the episode. Nothing. And I feel bad for her because Caitlyn was a central character and she was a useful character. And now she's been sidelined mostly as Keown, or she's relegated to the B story. She's not the B story today, she's the C story. And then Mold Inspector, it's a Department of Defense inspection instead. They said DOD, which is Department of Defense. So this is where that inspection certificate comes from, right? So I could have told you there's no mold in Star Labs, because I could have told you that. and Peter Calamus. So I had to double check and make sure it's him. Peter Calamus, one of my favorite comedians from the late '80s, early '90s, Canadian comedian, and he's genuinely funny. And was he given an opportunity to be funny in this episode? Not really, and it's just too bad. I mean, Peter Calamus is a good actor. I enjoy watching him work. They could have given him something to do, something, made him a central character for this as a guest star, but they really don't. So then we find out they can't leave the speed lab, and they don't really. I mean, I could go back and rewatch it to see if one of the inspectors isn't there at that point, but I'd have to go back and watch it again, and I'd rather not. And then the dialogue. So you can't leave a room. You go out and you go down a hallway, you turn a corner, and you're right back in that room again. We've seen storylines of this in numerous shows and movies. And the dialogue is, oh, you're just messing with us. This is a prank. And I'm like, no. Actually, that's not how pranks work. If you leave my set and you go upstairs and you go around a corner and you end up right back on the set, that's not a prank. That's some Chris Angel crap. That's like that and that, or it's a dream, right? Like, and nobody freaks out. And what I love in science fiction TV shows is everybody goes, huh, I didn't think I'd be stuck in one room for the whole day, but I am. Nobody ever needs to use the washroom. Anyways, so Peter Calamus, I'm glad he's there and everything. And then the clock from Evil Dead and Stranger Things shows up, and I thought that was nice. Now, I don't know if it was the one from Evil Dead or the one from Stranger Things, because it kind of feels like with the clock thing, Stranger Things was boring from Evil Dead, although a ticking, clanging grandfather clock is an old trope anyways. But it was nice to see it there, and I was like, is Flash going to fight Vecna? Sadly, no. While I have my issues with Vecna on Stranger Things as being kind of a Freddy Krueger clone at points, no. And there's no phone signal. They never establish why there's no phone signal, but of course Barry can't call out because then you have to call people in. I think it's nice that this MacGuffin in this episode only causes time to change in this very small area in the speed lab. Nothing changed anywhere else in the rest of the episode. Nothing. Just in this room, which is kind of weird. So then they go into Allegra and Chester, which is your B story. He tells her he loves her. Cecile walks in because waka waka waka. It's your situation comedy bit for today. And the dialogue is just so awkward. And I understand like it was supposed to be kind of awkward, but it's awkward in not a good way, not like a natural awkward. And just Allegra and Chester together, I don't know. It's it doesn't work for me. I don't buy it, and so that's the issue I have with that. And then there's this wave that crashes over, and Iris's clothes change. So the first part that I'm like, what? So if timelines are going to change, like let's say all of time is converging on one spot, and we saw that done really really well in other series and other movies where you have time all crashing together. Legends of Tomorrow, I think, did it best, where are dinosaurs in downtown LA, because sure, why not, right? And it was fun, but then Iris says it's a prank. Okay, they're looking at her. Her clothes changed. She didn't change her clothes. Her clothes became completely different, including earrings and whatnot. And she's like, it's a prank. And I'm like, okay, nobody's freaking out for one. And again, that's not how pranks work. It's not a prank. Your shirt changed. Haha, I pranked you. How is that a prank? So, yeah. And then all of their clothes change. Barry reveals he's the Flash at this point because he has to tell everybody. I swear he has a business card that says, Barry Allen, I might be the Flash. Shh, don't tell anybody. So, at any rate, he reveals he's the Flash, and everybody kind of goes, cool, because I think they figured it out. Yeah, we know, the mask only hides like this little tiny portion of your face. We're not morons. So then one of the inspectors, who has a British accent, because British accent lady's going to be the smart one, she guesses why they're stuck in one space, why they're stuck in this, right? And she's got it. She's got it. She figures it out. so we move through time like this, and we're stuck in this spot, and we're over. And I'm like, what? How do you just know this? Like, how? And fine if you're like, oh, it's a scientific mind. What? No, I just. I think if you stuck Neil deGrasse Tyson in this situation, you'd be like, what is going on? It wouldn't be, oh, well, just give me a second. I notice you got this board here, and I'll just pick up your markers. Here's what I think's happening. So why is she just an inspector if she can figure this all out? I even spelled there wrong because I was just so befuddled by all this. That's another thing. As you get older, you make like little spelling errors and don't even realize you've made them. But yeah, then he gets time magnet. And I don't get this. So like at one point the villain's like, so all I have to do is think about holding this time magnet thing. It's just this big ball thing. I just have to think about the Mona Lisa and it'll bring it to me. Why? What does that have to do with time? I don't like it, and if it did, you can't show anybody. You can't be like, hey, you hear about the Mona Lisa? Yeah, I got it. Oh, hello, Mr. Officer. How are you today? Why? So, like, the whole idea of why would you want this? Because then I can have anything I want. So you're a thief, right? I'm getting closer and closer to Jim Ignatowski as we get through this. Hopefully I don't go full on. So then they figure out someone in the room is a thief, because of course they are. And then Barry says, don't jump to conclusions, which always reminds me of Office Space. Every single time I hear the phrase, don't jump to conclusions, I say out loud, because see, it's this mat that has all these conclusions on it that you jump to. And then in the back of my mind I hear, this is truly horrible, this idea. So, yeah, don't jump to conclusions. Then they go back to the B storyline. Allegra, Chester, Cecile are all playing Catan. Because sure. And so Allegra gets the longest road, so she wins. And Chester leaves, because it's what you do when somebody beats you at Catan. You get out of there. And then it's just as pointless. It's just basically Cecile like, what's wrong? Well, I've had bad relationships. Yeah, we've watched everybody around you die. Guess what? That's kind of a whole thing with science fiction shows. It must be hard to make friends. Wait, aren't you? Okay, I'm not. Everybody you know dies. So then Calamus turns into a statue because sure. So it's just the time magnet that murdered them. And then, but why did he turn into a statue? Yeah, fine. Don't explain it. That's great. And the British accent lady explains that he was erased from time and his particles are spread through time. So she's actually the exposition inspector. And so she's here to deliver the exposition, because we watching this as the audience might go, well, that's kind of stupid. But since she has a British accent, that just calms us right down. British accents are used for two things. People are smart or they're evil, and sometimes they're both. That's all that science fiction has taught me. If you're British, you're either evil or you're a genius. And sometimes you're an evil genius. So then we go back to the B storyline. Allegra has abandonment issues, and Cecile's talking about getting married. You know, you guys are going to get married. And I'm like, okay, so it's turned into Young and the Restless. Even the music in the background, it sounded like Young and the Restless, which I grew up with, but I don't watch anymore. There's a reason. So, yeah. And then Barry... Barry. Oh, he never learns. So Barry was trying to run to the future, and it made things worse, because it always does. And he realizes that running to the future is bad. He's like, every time I try to run to the future, bad things happen. Yeah, When you run into the past, basically, if you mess with the timeline, bad things happen, but you keep trying to change the time. So he has once again realized that running through time is bad. So I can't wait until probably 2 episodes from now when Barry tries to run through time again. And then they talk about Iris being pregnant. Now she doesn't understand things and she wants her body back and yada, yada, yada. They don't have Candace Patton like looking pregnant either. She looks absolutely fantastic. So I don't know if they're going to add the baby belly over the next couple of weeks, because we've only got a few episodes left. I would imagine that they'll go to the hospital and we can all act surprised when they do the test and find out it's a boy. Can all act surprised when we find out it's a boy. It's not Nora at all. So then they find out it's the electrical inspector's the time thief, which if you were paying attention to the episode, figured it out because electrical inspector and didn't know what the electrical box was. So if you don't know what a breaker box is, right? So that should have been their clue, but nope. So yeah, and then she turns into an Inquisitor before our very eyes. She looked like one of the Inquisitors from Star Wars. Sadly, not an Inquisitor. I have to say, the clock on her forehead. What? Why? She. So her face paint's all white with black on it, so like an Inquisitor. And then she's got the clock here. And I was like, why do you have a clock? Why did you put that on your forehead? Isn't that a target for one of your enemies who's like, oh, we'll take her out? Oh, she's got a target right on her forehead. So she's an Inquisitor. She says she calls herself Lady Kronos, which is okay. All right, so Kronos, time and all that, chronometer. But then she said temporal, wrong. She said temporal. And I'm like, temporal? It's temporal. I don't know that I've heard it said. Now, maybe other people pronounce it temporal, but I've always heard temporal. And I mean, I've watched Star Trek since I was a kid. It was always temporal. Temporal space anomaly, not temporal space anomaly. So, and it just keeps getting dumber from there. And then I can't go to the future because my belt isn't charged. And so Barry's a battery charger. I can't wait to see him using that to charge everybody's phones because he's really not a superhero anymore. This season, he has not done anything superhero-ish at all, minus maybe the first couple episodes. He's just kind of there. He really has become kind of just a supporting character on a show that's called The Flash, so which is bold decision on their part. So she goes back to 23 to fix time, and it fixes time. Basically, she's like, well, I don't want to go to the future. I'm going to get arrested. And Barry goes, yeah, well, you're going to get arrested. She goes, well, I guess I'm going to get arrested. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what's going to happen. So she gets arrested, so good for her. The only thing is, at the end, they're like, are we ever going to meet her again? I don't know. Reminded me of a Super Friends ending from the 80s kind of thing. Till we meet again, vengeful scoundrel. So, yeah, and then I put on the board just this once, Rose, everyone lives. The reason I did that is because, so I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and the Are You My Mummy bit from Doctor Who, where everybody was all like zombie-ish with the face masks. If you haven't watched it, great episode, and honestly, cannot recommend Doctor Who enough. I'm really excited about the new season because Russell T Davies is back, and to go from this to that is going to be great. So, in that episode, at the end, everything's fixed. And the doctor says, just this once, Rose, everyone lives. Everybody lives. And it felt like this was this moment again, because these inspectors, who we cared nothing for, magically are back to life. The statues are gone and they're back to life. So when Lady Kronos said, oh, they're all dead, so their particles reassembled when the timeline went back to normal. So they're fine. Everybody's fine. And they forgot everything, which is convenient. Barry and Iris are in the same spot, same time for them, but time reset for them. So, all right. And then we have them explain it to Keown, who's back. Keown's just there. It's later at night. You can tell because they dimmed the lights in the room. It's not a room that has an external window, so I'm not sure why the lighting's darker other than it's nighttime, guys. We got to turn the lights down. Why would you do that? So anyways, they explained to Keown that what happened, and then, Barry's like, after everything that's happened in here, and they do what they've been doing this year, which is showing a montage of a bunch of crap from every other season. It's this weird tacked on, this is the final season, don't forget, kind of thing. And we never saw Caitlyn's mom. She's just like, yeah, so Caitlyn's mom seems pretty cool. All right, well, okay. I don't understand why. I don't get it. Like, could the actress that played her mom not come in? And the other part that got me was Barry saying, well, she wasn't Frost's mother either, but she accepted Frost. Frost was created from Caitlyn, meaning it was part of Caitlyn, meaning she was Frost's mother. It's one of those things that I hear and I say, do the writers not understand the characters or the situation? Because this is what gets me with this show. It's just minor things like this that I, just watching the show, if I was in the writer's room, would say, actually, she was Frost's mother because Frost and Caitlyn were split personalities in the same body. Therefore, she was Frost's mother as well. I understand they split and became two people, which was never explained. But still, Frost, as a separate person, still was the daughter of Caitlyn's mother. They called themselves sisters, but they were basically clones of one another. And then we go back to the B storyline. Allegra loves them too, and so they're going to go fool around, but they can't say sex because can't say that on TV anymore. It's so weird. But yeah, so that's going to happen. He's even like, I've had so much coffee, I'm going to be up for the next 10 to 12 hours. She's like, I don't know how to burn that energy off. And he's like, yeah, you got an idea? And she's like, yeah, I got this problem with my roof. She didn't, but that would have been great. So, and then at the end, they show, like, Iris is eating again. She's eating dessert, and they're asking, when am I going to get the craving? When does Nora's cravings for cookie dough show up? You guys don't understand how babies work. You don't. It's no wonder that there's no romance in that relationship. They can't even figure out babies. Barry's speed is for running errands now. The number one thing that they use the special effect for him running around is for him to go get stuff. So, like, she's like, I need more ice cream. And so he ran out. He comes back. He's like, yep, the whole freezer's full of ice cream. I'm really glad Barry has these superpowers that he can use to get coffee, to get ice cream, to go to the other side of the world and bring back a taco or a tomato. And this is while I can only guess there's crime all over Central City, but he had to go get Iris some food. So, sorry. I just... there you go. There's the episode today. All right, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. It was an episode. Things that happened, things that were said, and things that were done. But it's done now, and I've shared this with all you fine people on the internet. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.